whole society that we've set up is a very immature one. Society is like a macrocosm of the self, and the human self is consistently trying to perpetuate itself like a virus. As a consequence, society seems to do the exact same thing. The human self is consistently looking for a way to continue on, to draw attention to itself. And it seems to feel inherently that the more attention that is given to it, the longer it can survive. It seems to see itself as its own unique organism, separate from the body, and it thrives off of acknowledgement and verification. It wants an affirmation that it exists. This is the entire existential problem. This is the entire existential crisis of humanity. This idea that we need an affirmation, or our ego, our inner self, needs an affirmation that it's real, that our inner self really does exist. We're always looking for that acknowledgement, for that yes from outside of ourselves to say that we do in fact exist. And society is nothing more than a mechanism to perpetuate that. It gives us all of these different devices and these different ideas. If you don't have an identity for yourself, we have lots of prefabricated, pre-made identities for you. You can give yourself a feeling of uniqueness without actually stirring anyone up, without actually creating any problems in society. So to that end, we have prefabricated identities that you can actually consume, and you can actually pay money in order to consume one of these identities. And so not only does the microcosmic self profit, but the macrocosmic self profits. You give money out to society to purchase these goods, the sports car, the big house, the goth clothing, or the prep clothing, or whatever it is that affiliates you with a certain scene or a certain identity, a certain niche. And in doing that, yourself benefits in return. We get a sense of permanence, a sense of fitting in, a sense of being a part of something, and that uniqueness that allows us to think we really are special. And so we have an entire world now of 7 billion special people. Everyone has to be special, and everyone is unique, and in that way, in fact, everyone is actually identical. Everyone is actually just one and the same. There's no diversity, because every single person now has to fit into some sort of pre-made social mold in order to feel unique. And it's really an exploitation by people who have studied psychology and sociology. This idea that we can give someone a permanent sense of identity if only they kowtow to us and work for us, give us large sums of money and get into debt, then we in return will give them this good feeling, this opium. It's a lie that allows them to feel that they're unique for a short period of time. We even have music catered towards them. We have psychologists working on CDs and games and things like that, which all work to reinforce the various niches of persona for the rebel, or the goth, or the prep, or the girly girl, or whatever it is, the porn person. It's all a big circular continuum of personalities that have been mapped out. And it's very sad to see that this is what the human being has come to, is a mapped out corporate fiction. And we even have spiritual fiction, spiritual niches. The seeker is right there next to the goth and the prep, and the rebel, and the office worker, and so on and so forth. And the spiritual seeker is just another type of materialist. All of these things are nothing but different types of materialists. The spiritual seeker believes in something that is a conceptual conceptual product of the human mind. Enlightenment, heaven, moksha, any of these things. I mean, they're all interchangeable, although certainly zealots of each individual dogma will yell at you over the semantics. They're all really one and the same. They're concepts of the human mind. God. Do horses have gods? Do sheep or lambs have gods? Do ants have gods? And do ants seek enlightenment? No. And only man does this. Why is that? Because the man contains a type of consciousness that wants to perpetuate itself because of the human brain. The human brain has created these different abstractions because it's become fashionable to be consistently in pleasure. The pleasure movement is the single most profitable commercial in human history. This belief that if we're not constantly happy and we're not constantly in pleasure, then there's something wrong. So we need to be taking pills, and we need to be marketed all of these different products that we need to buy, and we need to get a job to work to continue to perpetuate this society so that we can take these products into ourselves and put them on ourselves and so on, and live in them and around them so that we can be perpetually happy, whatever that is. Again, another conceptual state of mind that is not really in existence anywhere. No one really knows what happiness is, just like enlightenment. There's no actual physical state that a person can point to on an EEG and say, okay, now the brain is in enlightenment, or now the brain is in happiness. These are all relative states.